Top 10 Korean GL movies you need to watch. Hey GL fans, welcome back to the channel. Let's be real for a second. Here on the channel, we live for stories that push the boundaries, the high stakes, the psychological, and the deeply mysterious. When people think of Korean romance, they usually think of predictable K-drama tropes. But if you think the best love stories are only on the small screen, you are missing out on a cinematic revolution. I'm talking about Korean GL films, stories with raw desire, quiet heartbreak, and chemistry so intense it'll stay with you for weeks. Forget the typical chaebol rom-coms for a minute. Today, we're ranking the top 10 Korean GL movies that prove South Korea is making the most powerful, thrilling queer cinema in the world right now. From massive masterpieces to the indie gems you've never heard of. Let's get into it. Kicking off our list at number 10 is the atmospheric indie drama, Heavy Snow. You probably know this film as the big screen debut of superstar so-hee, filmed back in 2019 before her massive breakout roles. But do not let the coming-of-age label fool you. This is not your typical predictable high school romance. The story follows Swan, an intense, loner acting student, and Seol, a massive teen TV star who unexpectedly crashes into her life. Their instant connection leads to a fast, breathless romance right before Seol completely vanishes. The film brilliantly uses unannounced time jumps to explore the dark, isolating reality of fame, simmering regrets, and an unpredictable final act that literally leaves the characters stranded together in a freezing, desolate ocean. It is raw, visually stunning, and will keep you guessing until the very last frame. Coming in at number 9, we are shifting genres a bit, but keeping the stakes incredibly high with 2 weddings and a funeral. While this is technically a queer romantic comedy, the plot practically plays out like a tense, high-stakes con job. It tackles the very real concept of lavender marriages used to survive in conservative societies. Min-soo, a gay man, and Hyo-jin, a lesbian, team up to fake a marriage to get their families off their backs. The real motive: Hyo-jin needs the cover of a traditional marriage so she can legally adopt a child with her actual long-term partner. The two couples live in adjacent apartments, secretly sneaking back and forth in a 24/7 game of smoke and mirrors to maintain this massive, exhausting lie. But the tension, and the comedy, absolutely skyrockets when Min-soo's nosy parents start poking holes in their floor plan. It's sharp, funny, and incredibly stressful in the best way possible. At number 8, we are heading into the high school theater scene with Fantasy of the Girls. But forget everything you know about innocent school plays. This film is a tangled, psychological web that completely blurs the line between stage performance and real-life obsession. Freshman Seonhwa is cast as Juliet, and her world flips when she meets her Romeo, the charismatic, intensely mysterious senior, Hanam. As rehearsals heat up, the line between acting and raw desire begins to vanish. But here is where the real tension hits. Enter Soo-yeon, the play's beautiful, ruthless director who shares a dark, secretive history with Hanam. What starts as a simple crush spiral into an intense, secretive love triangle where the drama offstage is far more dangerous than anything in the script. At number 7 is Between the Seasons. On the surface, it might look like a cozy indie cafe romance, but do not let the quiet setting fool you. This film is a tense, slow-burn mystery about the crushing weight of hidden secrets. The story follows Hae-soo, a woman who flees to an isolated small city to completely bury her past. She opens a cafe, hoping to disappear into a normal life, but her fragile new reality is threatened when she hires a local high schooler, Yi-jin. The cafe's isolation quickly turns into a pressure cooker as Yi-jin develops an intense, irresistible attraction to her boss. When Yi-jin finally crosses the line and confesses, it sets off a chain reaction that forces both women out of hiding, putting their deepest personal secrets on a collision course with a ruthless, conservative society. It is a gripping, heavy watch about the sheer impossibility of outrunning who you really are. Coming in at number 6 is Take Me Home. If you are used to the lighter, fluffy web series, brace yourself, because this film hits like an absolute freight train. It is a devastating, urgent fight for survival against a system built to erase queer families. Eun-soo and Yi-won are living a quiet, happy life together until a catastrophic car crash shatters everything, leaving Eun-soo paralyzed and her sister dead. Overnight, Yi-won is thrust into the role of sole caretaker for her paralyzed partner and her newly orphaned niece. But the real villain of this story isn't the accident, it's the ruthless legal system. The film transforms into a grueling, high-stakes battle against deeply ingrained prejudice, social workers, and the law itself as Yi-won fights tooth and nail to formally adopt the little girl and save her family from being torn apart. It is raw, infuriating, and an absolutely unmissable watch. Breaking into our top 5 is the devastating indie masterpiece, Concerning My Daughter. And here's what makes it so radical: this story isn't told from the daughter's perspective. It's told through the eyes of the person standing in the way, her mother. An aging widow, pushed to the brink by financial struggles, is forced to let her daughter, Julin, move back home. But when Julin arrives with her long-term girlfriend, Ri-in, the tiny apartment becomes a tense, claustrophobic battleground of denial and generational tension. There are no dramatic outbursts here. Instead, it's a subtle, painfully realistic look at every loaded silence. As the mother cares for a dementia patient abandoned by her own family at work, she's forced to confront a terrifying psychological question. What does it truly mean to care for someone if you refuse to accept who they really are? It's intimate, it's uncomfortable, and it's easily one of the most emotionally mature GL films Korea has ever produced. At number 4, we're stepping into the suffocating summer of 1999 with No Heaven But Love. Think Y2K panic, flip phones, neon lights, and a society simmering with violence beneath the surface. Ju Young is a high school taekwondo athlete trapped in a brutal, abusive sports system. But everything shifts when Yi Ji, a rebellious fast food worker placed in her home through a juvenile program, enters her life. What starts as protection turns into something softer, something dangerous. A first love blooming in a world that wants to crush them. Starring Lee Yoo-mi from Squid Game, the chemistry here feels raw and electric. It's nostalgic, gritty, and it perfectly contrasts tender teenage love with the harsh brutality of the late 90s. Taking the bronze at number 3 is the multi-award-winning cinematic masterpiece, Moonlit Winter. This isn't a loud love story. It's a quiet ache, and a devastating emotional mystery about a hidden past. When teenager Saebum intercepts a secret love letter sent to her mother, from a woman in Japan, she realizes something heartbreaking. Her mother has been living a lonely, repressed double life. Determined to change that, Saebum orchestrates a covert mother-daughter trip to the freezing, snow-covered city of Otaru. Her secret mission: to track down the woman from the letter and force a reunion. It is an atmospheric, visually stunning film about unearthing buried secrets, surviving the crushing weight of societal expectations, and the sheer courage it takes to finally stop punishing yourself for who you love. Taking the silver at number 2 is the 2024 indie powerhouse, Lucky Apartment. If you love stories where a domestic dream slowly decays into a psychological nightmare, this is your next obsession. Seon-yu and Hui-seo sink every cent they own into an apartment, praying for stability, but their sanctuary begins to rot from the inside out. A job-ending injury and a crushing mortgage already have them drowning, and then the smell begins. A foul odor seeps through the floorboards, the result of a lonely death in the unit below. As Seon-yu becomes obsessed with the stench, the walls close in. Will investigating the rot expose their secret life to their ruthless neighbors? It's visceral, claustrophobic, and will literally make you hold your breath. And finally, taking the number 1 spot is the undisputed masterpiece, The Handmaiden. This isn't just a GL film, it's pure cinema. Set in 1930s Korea under Japanese occupation, the story begins as a con. A charming but ruthless fraudster recruits a pickpocket, so-hee, to pose as a handmaiden to a wealthy Japanese heiress, Lady Hideko. The plan: seduce her, steal her fortune, lock her away. Except that nothing in this film is simple. The story fractures, resets, and reveals itself in 3 breathtaking acts, each one violently twisting everything you thought you understood. And at its heart, a love story that is dangerous, sensual, defiant, and utterly unforgettable, visually lush, structurally genius, fiercely feminist. By the time it ends, it doesn't just outsmart its male villains, it completely liberates its heroines. And that's why it's number 1. So, there you have it, the 10 Korean GL movies that prove this cinema is in a league of its own. From devastating, slow-burn mysteries to the mind-bending brilliance of The Handmaiden, these are stories that stay with you long after the screen goes black. But I want to know, which of these shattered you the most? Or is there an underrated gem that absolutely should have been on this list? Drop your rankings in the comments, I'm jumping in there to chat with you right now. If you found your next obsession today, hit that like button and subscribe to join the community. Thanks for watching, stay cinematic, and I'll see you in the next one.